Okay.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Empowered Mama Summit. Thanks for joining us. I have Kandis Webb with us today, who is a career coach, and she helps moms, women, whoever, to either transition or figure out what they want to do with their career. So, Kandis, thank you so much for joining us. If you want to share with the moms that are tuning in just a little bit more about what you do, and then we'll jump into some questions I have for you.
Sure. So I guess I do career coaching. By day, I actually work at Career Builder. I'm an account manager. So I work with a lot of companies who are doing recruiting. I help them with their software, their applicant tracking system. And then by nights and weekends, I used to be a blogger. I have not updated my blog in months, but whatever. One day I'll get back to that. I'm writing. I'm working on a book, but I ended up positioning myself as a career coach because I've been in the recruitment space for so long that I've seen what people do to either put themselves in jobs they hate or put themselves in a fearful place that they can't get jobs that they actually want. So I decided, I just woke up one day and was like, I'm going to start helping people with this because I was doing it anyway for free. So I'm like, y'all are going to start paying me for this. So that's what happened.
I love that. And it's funny because when I got into this, like, in legacy coaching and working with moms, I feel like, and that's why I reached out to you, because it's one thing that women, I feel like, are always trying to figure out, like, well, what do I want to do? And it goes along with, what is your purpose? But it's like, well, what is this job serving me? Or I'm at home, I'm about to go back to work, but I hate my job. What are my options? How do I start my own business and get out of the corporate job or whatever it is? So I love that. I love what you do. First question, what does legacy mean to you?
Legacy means, for me, leaving something behind that will show my children and their children's children that I did what I wanted. And I put things forth in the world that actually came from me. That's what legacy means for me.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, it's important, right, that as moms, we set that example for our kids. And so obviously you help people figure out their career, right? Trying to get them to transit into what they love, right? Nobody wants to be in a job that they hate. So it's either getting out of it or getting, just something that fuels you up and sparks your fire a little bit more. Have you always been, I guess, focused on this kind of intentional living or like purpose-filled life kind of a thing? And if not, what was your turning point?
I was not 2000 and let's say 12ish. I think that's when I got pregnant, maybe. My kid was due in June. So right around the time I got pregnant, I think I started having these feelings. I was having a stressful day at work, honestly. But I had started doing a lot of self-work, listening to other like life coaches and motivational stuff and like Abraham Hicks and all that kind of stuff, right? So prior to getting pregnant, I was doing all these things and I was realizing how I was creating my reality, how I was creating my life through like my thoughts, through my actions, through my program behaviors, through past things that had happened to me. So I was like, I needed to start taking ownership of my life. And one day I had a really, really, really bad day with my boss who I was already over him. But when I got pregnant, I was like, I was trying to create an environment for my baby that nobody was going to stress me out. Yeah. So I was like, I can't do this. I cannot take this. And I had to figure out, number one, how to get myself through that situation because I wasn't in a position to quit. But I learned I think that was the turning moment where I was like, from here on out, like I'm going to be intentional about every decision I make, every job I make, every interview I go on. I'm going to talk directly to the person I'm going to be working for. It needs to align with the life I'm trying to create. So it just kind of went basically because of my kid.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that, that was kind of, I can relate to that because that was my turning. Well, first I turned 30 and I was like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this is where I'm going. And then 6 months later, I found out I was pregnant. Then I was like, holy crap, like I have a human that I'm going to raise and I need to be the best version of myself. Otherwise, I'm going to bring like a crappy ass human into the world.
Yeah, so, and keep growing it into a crappy human. Exactly.
I was like, I need a good foundation. Otherwise, it's done. We're done. So yeah, I can totally relate to that. Do you have, so you work with, I'm going to say women because we have the women kind of tune.
I do work with a lot of women, yes.
So You work with women in kind of figuring out what they want to do as their career. Do you have any tips for the moms that are tuning in terms of, finding what might be a right fit for them, or, what they should be looking for when they're doing it?
So it varies because, and the funny thing is, a lot of times the people that I work for are people who are either switching and moving throughout their career, but they're also trying to get side businesses started or become writers or do other things, right? And so a lot of times it's just assessing like where your path has taken you. And I'm one to believe that where you've been is connected to where you're going. So none of it was in vain. It was all put for a reason, so you could put it to use for something. That's my foundation that I believe. So everybody that comes to me, I always tell them, like, where have you been? Who have you talked to? What relationships have you built? What skills have you gained? What part of working do you like to do? Because that's where you need to go. And then, like, everything I do is created based on that. I'm not going to build a resume for you if, for instance, for you're a lawyer, right? But let's say you wake up one day and you're like, I want to be a chef. So okay, well, we're going to have to spin your resume to show everybody why you can be a chef now, because I don't need to talk to people about your law skills anymore, right? So that's the other thing. Like, stop. You're attracting the things that you don't want in your resume by highlighting the things that you no longer want to offer the world. So a lot of times it's, especially for women, we tend to feel like inadequate in so many ways. Our insecurities tend to get to us. We feel like we got to boost ourselves up and talk about everything we can do. Like, no, talk about what you want to offer the world. Because if you don't want to be typing up paperwork and filing papers every day, we're not going to talk about that. Nobody needs to know you have that skill.
Yeah. Nobody wants to know that's what we've been doing for the past 10 years.
Yes. If that's not what you want to highlight anymore, if you've been working for 10 years and you want to focus on a different skill set, that's the only one we're going to highlight. And those are the only jobs you're going to apply for. And I think the other thing is just speaking up. I think what I've noticed, and this is even for myself, we tend to not want to speak up about the things we want and desire. And in the career field, that looks like maybe like having an existence or some kind of brand established on like LinkedIn. People are scared to like comment on stuff or post things because they think people are always judging them. They don't go ask, will you be a mentor? They don't ask, can I be promoted in 6 to 12 months if I do A, B, C, and D? So I think just speaking up and putting it out there to the universe, to your bosses, to your friends, to your neighbors, whoever, that this is what I want to do next, because that's how you attract things, through people knowing that's what you want.
Yeah, I love that so much, because I think, one thing for me, and it wasn't when I was in a career, but I was in college, I was an anthropology major, started law school, and I was like, F this, like, I'm dropping out. And then it was like, well, I don't know what else I'm going to do, because all of my skills are focused around the law. What do I do with that? So I stayed in law school, and then I tried to drop out again, and the same process kind of went through my head. And it's like, if you've been doing the same thing over and over, because it's that golden handcuff where it's paying your bills, it's that security, it can be scary, right? To kind of transition and be like, okay, all of these things that I've been focused on for the past 10 years, 15 years, we're going to just forget about all that and start brand new. So, but the thing is, right, change is scary. So if you want something new, you have to
be scared.
Yeah. Be scared.
Be scared. Okay, be scared. Do it scared. But I think one of my mentors used to tell me that, Dr. Monica Ogando, who she's amazing, but she changed my life in the fact that fear it will literally just hold you and arrest you and keep you from moving. And like most of the time it's just in your head. And then when you go and do the thing that you were afraid of, you're like, why was I fearing that anyway? And so I think we underestimate the power of our imagination and our mind. And we can use it for good or we can use it for evil. And fear to me is evil. So.
Yeah. And I think one acronym that I've heard of for fear is like false evidence appearing real, because once you get through that, threshold, you're like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, what am I, freaking out about? Yeah. Yes. I love that. And I also think that when we kind of make the decision to change, to kind of step into that thing that's scaring us, or, we're fully stepping into our power, right? We're empowering ourselves to create this life and legacy that we want.
Yeah.
What would you say being an empowered mom, or empowered, the word itself, what would you say that that means to you?
For me, empowered is 2 parts. And I think I use this in a lot of my marketing and stuff, like in a lot of my tags. It's self-awareness. And it's being unapologetic about what you want. It's being aware of who you are, what you want, what you're capable of, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, like knowing all that, all of that, still telling the world, okay, even though I'm great at this and I suck at this, I fucking want this. Can I say fucking on this? Sorry. I fucking want this and I'm going to get it.
Sex, swear words, like, it's been fun and exciting.
Right. Sorry. But that's empowered to me. Like, I don't think you can be empowered if you don't have the tools. And most of the tools that people need to do anything is just knowing who they are and knowing what they want and then just going after it. That's it. Like, you can't go after something if you don't know your strengths and your weaknesses around it so that you can do it strategically.
I think that is absolutely on point. So this idea of self-awareness, right? You need to know who you are before you can tell the world who you are.
Yes.
And if you don't, that's how you end up getting stuck in these, 9-to-5 jobs that don't serve you or whatever it is.
Yes.
And in terms of finding out who you are, do you have any tips like around that? Like, I feel like, when we're kind of in this corporate job or doing what we're supposed to be doing, we get so caught up in autopilot in the day-to-day. Like, what's one way maybe that the women who may be stuck in a shitty job that they don't like can kind of figure out what they do like or who they are?
I think you need to, if we're talking about a job in particular, honestly, I think this applies to all things, like anything, relationships, parenting, motherhood, a job. I think you have to understand like what sucks the life out of you, right? Because no matter what you do, even if you go start your own business, you're doing a job, you're working. It doesn't matter, right? Like if you work for somebody, if you work for yourself, if you do both, you're still working. So the question is,
clients are still your boss.
Exactly. So that's my point. Like people try to glamorize all this starting a business bullshit. Okay, whatever. I won't even go there. But I will say, if you don't understand like what parts of things are bothering you or sucking the energy out of you that don't light you up, that you don't like to do, like you need to be aware of that first so that you can either figure out like, who can I make do this? Can I get somebody else to do this? Can I tell my boss I don't like doing this part of my job? I tell my boss all the time, I don't like doing this. Like seriously, we have these conversations every week. I look forward to my one-on-ones because I know by Friday I'm gonna tell you one more thing I don't want to do, and then you can figure out if you can take it off my plate. Okay? And my boss is awesome. So I honestly feel like I've attracted good opportunities into my life because I just believe that I deserve it, I want it, and it's the only way I can function and be really good at what I'm doing is if I can work with the people that manage me or even on my team. So that's the thing. You have to understand like what parts of it you don't like. How are they not serving you? You know what I'm saying? So figure that out and then come up with a strategy. Like if you know there's parts of your job you don't like to do, but you still have to do it because it can't get taken off your plate. One of my coach and mentors used to say, do the stuff you don't like to do when you have the highest amount of energy. So if that's first thing in the morning, do it then. If it's after you've had your large Dunkin' Donuts hot coffee with the turbo shot and cream and sugar, then do it then. But that's what I do. I do all the stuff I hate when I have the most energy. And then the stuff that I love, like I could do it if I'm dead tired.
Yeah. So. That's true because, they say, what would you do, right? When they talk about finding your passion or your purpose or where you should be, it's like, what would you do for free, right? Yeah. So if you're dead tired, you would still do it for free. And so you save that for when you have no energy. Exactly.
And honestly, at this point in my life, I won't do anything for free. But if I had to, like I would do that for free. And it really is like, know what lights you up. And I journal a lot. So I journal about anything. Like I don't like being a mom. I remember when I had to put my kid in daycare, I didn't want to be a mom 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I don't like that. Can I say that? I don't like it. I want to go to work. I want my kid in daycare. I want to be a nights and weekend mom. That's what I want. And that's what I got.
I love, it's funny because I was doing, one of the other women that I was interviewing, she talks about, redefining what success in motherhood means, right? Yes. And she's like, I don't want to be with my kid, 24 hours a day. And they learn from being with other people. And there's lots of things like, and I know when I travel or when I am working on a weekend, my daughter's with my parents who spoil the crap out of her.
Yes.
But they're also, they're exposing her to baseball games because my brother does travel ball, but I don't like going to those. Yes. So she gets to get into the sports and all of that fun stuff that she wouldn't do when she's with me and she asks for her daycare lady when she's with me. And I'm like, dang, I must be boring to her.
No.
And I love it because Because I have the freedom to do what I want
Yes.
and what gets me excited. Don't, I know you love your kid, I love my kid, but
I need my time. And that's the thing, like, if I was in love with me, if I got my stuff right and I got myself right before having my kid, if I was in love with me before all this person came into my life, I still have to bond and connect and spend time with me. So, girl, don't get me started on that.
Yes. And that is, I love this so much because, and it's getting me excited because so many times moms are like, oh, I'm a mom. Like one thing somebody told me when I had my daughter, when I was pregnant, they're like, oh, your life is over. I was like, hell no, it's not. Like, it's just beginning because now I have to live an amazing life because I need to be an example for her.
Yep.
And so moms will put their, dreams and maybe the business that they want on the back burner. And then they get the life sucked out of them and they're miserable and they're stuck. And, I think a lot of the moms that are watching this are feeling that way. They're feeling stuck and they're like, I want more for my life because I know that I'm meant for more. One of my clients was like, I used to be exciting and like in fun. And I was like, you still are. You just have to reconnect and make that time to pull that woman back out. So I love that you're saying that. And so moms, it's okay. You don't have to want to be with your kid all the time because you're
yes, absolutely. Isn't it? And it's okay to say, I want to go back to where I'd rather be at work than with my kid. It's okay to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, working with my clients, there's some that were like, oh, I've been home for 3 months and I don't want to leave my kid right now. Okay. So don't. There's some that are like, I've been home for a month and I need to get back to work.
Yes.
And because that's where, I think you brought up a good point about like energy suck, right? And I talked to my clients and about this idea of power leaks. Like what is sucking away your energy, right? We're like cars, we have to fuel ourselves up, whether it's with food, whether it's with people, it's, things that are, that energize us, and beyond the caffeine or the Red Bull and, 5 hours, like what really like fills us up and fuels us. And when you're in a job that you don't like anything about it, that's going to suck all your energy. So when you get home, you're going to be a shitty ass mom in the short amount of time that you're spending with your kid. And then you're feeling guilty. And then it's just this ripple effect and you feel like you have a crap life. And so I feel like your career and what you do on a day-to-day basis is so important to kind of own your power, really, own who you are, and then work with your kid and, day-to-day stuff to create the legacy that you want. So I love that so much.
Perfect.
So, and we kind of covered this, but, in owning who you are and stepping into your power, why would you say that's important in creating your legacy?
Because you're the only person who can create your legacy. You can't, like, nobody else can do it for you, right? Like, I couldn't have gone to be Michael Jackson. I couldn't go be Martin Luther King. I can't be Janet Jackson when she comes back and she chunks the deuces to her ex. I love this girl power. Like, I have to create who Kandis is and was, right? And I can't do that if I'm not true to who I am. And there are going to be days, and there were years for me where I was fronting being somebody I didn't want to be. Like, I was in a relationship I didn't want to be in. I was being a stay-at-home mom who I didn't want to be. I was always a career-minded person. I worked since I was 13. So it's like having those moments of realizing I've lost my alignment, checking in with yourself, because I think sometimes we do slip up. Even I have friends who start businesses and one day they're like a marketing and branding coach, and they're like, I don't even like that part of the business. I want to do the systems and processes. Well, go do that. And it's okay to change your mind. Like, don't feel guilty. You don't owe anybody anything except the clients that paid their stuff. Like, make sure you make good on that. But then, like, go be who you are. And that could change in 6 months. It could change in 60 years. It could change in 5 minutes. But be okay and be like, 5 minutes ago, I was this Kandis, and now I'm this Kandis, and y'all gotta have to accept it because I'm not gonna offer you anybody else. Just like I told you, today is Saturday. I'm not straightening my hair for y'all. I got a makeup from yesterday, actually. I went out, slept in this makeup, and I was like, I'm not washing my face. It's real talk. So I'm just letting y'all know this is my life, and my kid is with my mom this weekend, so I'm doing everything that I can do when I'm with her. So it's like, understand who you are and what you want to be. And as a mom, especially if you're a single mom, like, you do have to make some sacrifices, and you do have to budget things, and you got to balance, like, okay, 1 week in a month, my mom's going to have my kids. So that's when I get to go be like the crazy college Kandis, right? But I like that Kandis, but she can't be on all the time because I have a kid, and she can't have a drunk mom. Like, so it's just understanding when I can be who I want to be. That's it.
Yeah, I think, there's so much of what you just said that has like, I mean, I don't doubt that you're one that sugarcoats things,
No.
but there's so much truth in what you're saying in terms
Yeah.
of who you are right now can be
Mhm.
different from who you were 5 minutes ago, 10 years ago, who will be different from the person you are tomorrow and in the next, months.
Yes.
And not having, you're constantly evolving and changing.
Yes.
As you
Hopefully.
Yes. As you reconnect with, either college, the college you or the, teenage you, because I started working at 13 as well. I was working in my dad's business, and I was like, but I was also the kid who in 6th grade wanted to learn how to do my own laundry because I didn't want anybody doing stuff for me.
Me too.
Ask for an allowance because
Yes.
they need to be independent and only and I was like, who does that? But clearly it's I can see
who you are. Yes.
Now I understand, this like independence. I see it in my daughter, and I'm like, I want that for her. So that's something that I have to try hard to hold on to.
Yes.
And not succumb to the traditional way of lawyering or being an attorney and things like that. And so making sure that you do it on your terms, right?
Yep.
Because 5 years ago when I started my practice, I was like, I have to be a certain way. Like, I'm a lawyer and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not me. This is why I tried to drop out of law school, because I try to fit into everybody's box. Yep. But I think you saying, the evolving, it's, even in a year, how far you can come is like insane.
Absolutely.
Insane. And acknowledging that. And I think the idea too is being gentle with yourself, that you don't have to have it all figured out. As moms, you don't have to have it all figured out. As business owners, as career women, you don't have to have it all figured out, right?
Yes, and plus the stuff that you need to learn, you'll learn real quick, real fast when you gotta learn it.
Yeah. So, yeah. And it's trusting that the timing and like the job that you're in right now is exactly where you're supposed to be to learn whatever skill set, whatever relationships, or whatever it is, even learning what you don't want to deal with or what you don't want to do.
Exactly.
Right? That's super key.
Exactly.
In terms of what was I going to say? So if there was one piece of advice that you could give the moms who are kind of trying to figure out which direction to go with their lives, right? Whether it's the purpose they're trying to figure out, whether it's a career, whatever it is, and they're just kind of starting out and listening to everything that you've had to say in this interview, what would you say the one piece of advice for them would be? Or what is the key takeaway?
Be honest with yourself. I think people aren't honest a lot with others and even with themselves. And I think the only way that you can really truly be honest with yourself is if you're constantly communicating with you and uncovering your truths, because I think you develop new truths every day, right? Your experiences change you, they change your thoughts, they change your beliefs, they change how you feel and think and operate in the world. And that stuff affects how you end up wanting to show up in the world, right? And so I think you have to mostly be truthful and honest with yourself about everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in-between. Because you can't really move from there. That's your benchmark. The benchmark is the truth of what exists right now, and then you move forward from there.
Yeah, I think that, yes. Yeah. It's hard. I don't want to keep being repetitive, but it's I literally love what you're saying, because you need to get real with yourself. If you cannot be honest with yourself and find out who you really are and what you like and what you don't like, you can't be honest with the rest of the world. You can't be honest with your kids. And as a result, they won't be able to be honest with themselves, because they then think they have to fall into these certain societal norms or whatever it is that, you are being the example of, right?
Yes. And sometimes it goes deeper than even being honest about people. I see people self-sabotage all the time. And they don't want to be honest with themselves by saying, I really don't want to get a job because I'm really afraid to show up for an interview because I really think I'm fat and I'm unattractive. People don't want to say that.
Yeah.
But because you don't want to say that, you're trying to apply to every job that nobody's going to accept you for because you don't even qualify for it. So really, you're creating this failure because of this one thing that you're trying to avoid. Let's be truthful. Let's just be honest about it. So it's getting deep into the truths of stuff. I think people aren't honest. I think we do a good job of doing like a whole facade. I think social media encourages it. And I think we, in our relationship with ourselves, we fake in front for even ourselves. And it makes it hard out here in the world to be who you are, go after the things you want when you can't even be honest about your truths. So
that is, I think it's something that resonates with me significantly because, so, right, we all have our family of origin kind of issues that come up for us and, you know, these money stories and ideas. But one thing for me was as I became a lawyer and I started my practice was this idea that I was afraid of success.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I had lost a lot of people. When I started law school, I lost a lot of friends because that takes up your whole life. And people are like, I'm not waiting around for you to finish school. And as you start your business or you climb the corporate ladder, you're working more, you have less time for like friends or whatever it is, you start to lose people. And so there was a part of me at some point where I self-sabotaged because I was like, I don't want more work. I don't want more success because I'm going to lose the people around me. So I think that is, you know, something that I had to recognize in myself and be like, you know what, it's okay because the people that are supposed to be there will be there to support me and surround me. As you grow and change, it's what happens, right? It's just this constant evolvement, and I'm hoping that you're evolving always to be the better, you know, your best self, right? Is not who you are today and years from now, but that you're your best self on your deathbed.
That is perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you want to share with the moms that are tuning in? We'll have your contact info too, so they can reach out to you if they have questions.
If I had to tell mom stuff, it's find time for you. I don't know how you do it. I have to rely on my mom once a month to like take my kid away, but I didn't do it for the first 18 months of my kid's life. She was with me, sucking the life out of me. Literally, I nursed her for 18 months. But like it did damage, right? And I think that people, women, especially when you're a mom, like find time for you to do stuff for you and not like, I don't want to hear this crap about just find 5 minutes of silence. No, it's like a day or 2 or 3 or a month or 6 weeks. I don't know, figure it out, but do stuff for you. Like keep your relationship with yourself is going to influence every relationship you have, every dream you have, every fear you have. Your relationship with yourself creates your reality, honestly.
I love that.
So keep that relationship healthy. Don't neglect your relationship with yourself. That is the one thing I would tell anybody, any day, anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny. I have a girlfriend who she had a ring tattooed on her ring finger, ring finger. And she was like, I'm married to myself before I'm married to, you know, my husband who will put a ring above that ring. So
nice.
You know,
that is awesome.
Yeah.
I might copy that.
I'm like, that's kind of good. Like I'm married
that's
to
awesome
forever. And then, you know, the marriage and whatever else comes along. But yeah, commit to yourself. I love that.
I like it.
Make time for yourself. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
We will share your contact info. So if any of the moms on here, you guys have career questions, you want to figure out how to get out of your stuckness,
yes,
contact Kandis. And thank you all for being here and stay tuned for the next interview.
Awesome. Bye.